Hi everyone. In this video, I want to walk you through everything that we just went through with the PowerPoint lecture, just to give you an idea of how you would perform this in Excel. So as stated, the sales budget, these assumptions are going to be given to you. So just like in the video, in the PowerPoint lecture, these are the number of units that are to be sold. This is the price per unit, and this is our ending revenue. So from the sales budget, we then move over to the production budget. And as we stated with these production budget, you need some assumptions with ending inventory and beginning inventory. So we know what our planned sales in units are. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to reference cells so that I'm not retyping numbers, which gives you more room for error. So our planned sales in units, I'm going to go into Q1, and then I'm going to type an equal sign, and then I'm going to go over to the sales budget, and I'm going to click on 1,000. And you see that that will automatically populate. And then I'm going to do that for each quarter. Let's type here. And you can see that I have some calculations in there that are populating, such as, addition or subtraction or whatever. And then I have my desired ending inventory, and here are my assumptions. So my desired ending inventory for Q1 is 180. So I'm going to click inside that cell under Q1, and I'm going to equal what I have in Q1 as the projection or the estimate. And as you can see that my calculation is automatically occurring because I've set it up that way. And then in Q2, I'm going to grab the desired ending inventory, same for Q3, and same for Q4. And I'm just equal sign, selecting the cell that I want in there, and it just moves on. And so as you can see, these are already being referenced, and the first one is not being referenced. So I'm going to take that 200, put it in there, and that gives me the number of units that I need to sell with the calculations already in there. So I take my sales units, the planned sales from the sales budget. I have an assumption of my desired ending inventory, and I add that together. And then I have to consider my beginning inventory, what I already have in stock, and minus that. And then these are the figures that I come to. So when I'm working with my direct material budgets, same thing here. So my planned production needs, instead of going to sales, now I'm going to go to the production budget. So I'm going to equal sign, click on the production budget, and I'm going to grab this bottom number here because that's what I need to produce. And I'm going to do that for each quarter. And again, I'm doing it this way so that I don't have to retype any numbers to minimize the amount of errors that I have in my spreadsheet. So now that I have my the number of production units that I need to produce, the materials that I need to produce 1 unit. And up here, you can see that that assumption has been made, and it's 2 pounds. I need 2 pounds of materials to produce 1 unit. So I can either type 2 straight across like so, or I can equal sign and select the 2. And again, I'm doing this to avoid errors down the line with, mistyping something. So what that does is that multiplies the planned production units by the 2 pounds that I need, which tells me these are the number of pounds of the material that I need to produce the units from the production budget in order to meet the sales budget. But as we stated, you need the desired ending inventory, and then you need to subtract out the beginning inventory. So my desired ending inventory, again, is up here, and I've made these assumptions, and this should not be a dollar sign. So we're just going to come up here and we're just going to change it to a number. And we're going to move out the zeros. So my desired ending inventory, I can again retype these numbers in, but to avoid the errors, I'm going to equal and click on the 910, equal, click on the 960, equal, click on the 690, and equal, click on the 520. So as you can see, the calculations are then done, right? So the two pounds per unit in order to produce the required number of units for production. And then I have to add the production needs and add the desired ending inventory. But then I need to reduce that number by the beginning inventory. And again, I'm going to equal each of these cells here. Again, not retyping anything. And then for my cost of materials required to produce, so I need 2,380 units and $36.90. And the cost of material to produce 1 unit is right up here in another assumption, which is 5 pounds. So I can either type 5 straight across the board, or I can reference these cells, which I'm going to do. And then the final calculation is done, and that's already been formatted. And I'm taking these number of pounds that I need to fulfill the production budget, which is based off of the sales budget, and these will be my raw material costs. Then I'm going to move over to the direct labor budget, and this is going to be the cost of man hours to produce the units in order to meet the sales. So the required units to be produced, that comes from =, the production budget. We know it's this bottom number here, and I'm just going to keep referencing. Okay, grab the wrong one there. 1920 should be the next, and then 1380. So the direct labor hours required to produce 1 unit, we know, is 5 hours. So again, I can type in 5, or I can reference the cell to avoid any typos with numbers. So I take my required units, the 980, and I multiply that by the 5 hours. So these are the number of hours that I need to produce the number of units in order to achieve the sales goal. And my cost of labor per hour is an assumption made up here, which is $10. Again, you can type in 10 across the board. I'm going to reference each cell, or you can reference the first cell, absolute it with $signs, and then drag it across. And then you can see here, I come up with this number of the amount that it's going to cost me in man hours to produce the sales projected budget based on the sales estimates. And then I come to the end, and you can see that some of these are already filled out here. So what I'm going to do is the projected sales. Well, where does that come from? The revenue. I'm going to equal my sales budget, and I'm assuming and I'm projecting that I'm going to make 150,000 in Q1, and I'm projecting I'm going to make 270,000 in Q2, and 300,000, and I'm just referencing all of these cells. Now these have already been filled in, because if you look up here in the formula bar, they've already been referenced. And in the end, what I do is I take my projected revenue and I minus out my direct costs to produce the units required to meet this sales revenue. And I subtract that. I subtract the projected revenue from the projected costs. And this is what I arrive at. And then I do a gross profit margin calculation, and I get all positive numbers, which tells me that with these sales projections, I'm definitely going to be making money each month.